Having an exceptional relationship with your spouse affects every single aspect of your life and is crucial for experiencing your dream life together. I'm Rob Murgatroyd.
And I'm Kim Murgatroyd. Listen in on our honest, filter-free conversations as we navigate life and business together without killing each other.
You'll learn by osmosis how to transform the friction you feel in your relationship into a purposeful foundation that will allow you to grow together.
Welcome to the Friday Podcast.
Kimberly, Greek, Easter, Murgatroyd. How you holding up this morning?
I wish I could say that I drank a lot yesterday, and that's why I feel so like I was hit by a truck, but I think I was just hit by the Greek Easter truck. I think I woke up feeling like yaya.
So for those people who have no idea what yaya is, Greek Easter, or why you were hit by a truck, can you give a little explanation as to what it is that you're talking about, oh Greek woman that you are?
Oh, yes. So this year, one of my friends and another expat in Florence, we decided to host Greek Easter. We're both Greek, and neither of us have ever hosted a Greek Easter, and we decided to take on this laborious challenge. And we basically cooked and shopped and cooked for 4 days straight, and then hosted a big party for about 40 people on our terrace, complete with lamb and some Greek dancing. And then I fell asleep.
You did it. You did it. You cooked for 4 freaking days.
It was crazy.
And for those of you that are like, what's the difference between Easter and Greek Easter? They're very different. They're on different days. One has...
they follow different calendars.
One has like red eggs that are dipped in... What are they dipped in?
We dyed them using onion skins. So there are these like crimson red eggs that we have a little... game we play where we crack the eggs, and whoever wins, whose ever egg stays intact, gets good luck for the year. And as Sophia says, everybody should get good luck. It's like everybody gets a trophy.
But listen, as exciting as Greek Easter is, that's not
why we're here.
It's not why we're here. We're here to talk about Basta Cosi. Basta Cosi. So what does that mean? So if you're following me on social, you'll see that I'm all in on this concept of enough is enough, because I kind of found this spot that explains a lot of the things that I'm interested in and a lot of things that I think can help people. And I'm always looking for ways that I can truncate it and do it, kind of quickly. And the words enough is enough come to mind. And so I had like an initial understanding of what enough is enough meant to me. But over time, as I've been thinking about it and observing things here in Italy, I've been understanding this idea at a deeper level. So I'd like to talk about that today.
Can you explain, because not everybody knows the enough is enough. There's a full statement there. Actually, it was during one of our podcasts that it just came out of you. And you said enough. You were talking about the achievement of, constantly 3xing your income, constantly picking an arbitrary number, constantly needing to up level, constantly, moving towards this bigger goal at the expense of your life. And you came out with a really great sentence, and now you've shortened it, obviously to enough is enough. But can you give the full sentence and explain it?
Enough is enough when work erodes the bandwidth that you've established for a great life. So what does that mean? That means that, let's say that you have this vision of what your life is supposed to look like. And that may include spending time with your spouse, spending time with your children, enjoying fun, hobbies. But you got this little thing on the side called work. And then work starts to creep in. We get that little work creep, and it begins to erode the vision, the dream, the idea that you have for a great life. Now, here's the thing. Nobody's going to knock on your door and say, don't let it do that. You have to self-select it. It's kind of like social media. Like, we all know it's the devil, but we're all addicted to it. And we have to control ourselves to determine how much scroll we're going to do. Too much is not good. Not enough is like, you can't grow your business, because that's where all the business is these days. So finding that balance between the two, I think, is where this conversation enters, right? So Is there perfect balance in work and play? No, there's not, but there's imbalance. And I think the Italians really recognize that you can very, very easily be imbalanced. So the first point I want to talk about is that satisfaction doesn't come from excess, but rather from understanding the limits of our desires. Now, this is going to take a lot of people off guard, and they're going to be like, hey, hold on a second. Like, I have dreams. I want a bigger house. I want a bigger car. I want more than I have right now. I don't want to limit those desires. Well, let's talk about that for a second. Where does satisfaction come in? Does satisfaction come in when you buy the boat? Think about it. Think about the things that you have purchased in your life, right? The boat, the car, the watch, the outfit, whatever it was that was a stretch and a goal. And you're like, when I do this, I'm going to be happy. Has it ever really made you happy? No. Does that mean that you shouldn't strive for the boat? No, not at all. We're striving for, a second home. We're striving for, we live in a beautiful home Kim just talked about Greek dancing, all of this stuff takes money. In no way are we talking about that. But what we are talking about is that happiness is always coming from those intrinsic things. Go ahead. You want to say something?
Yeah, I do, because I think it's really easy to go, oh, okay, but I need the money. I want these things. We're not talking about not wanting things. If you've listened to any other episodes that we've done, we often talk about manifestation and waiting for the nudge and listening to what, figuring out what you want. And we have an entire course that is around creating the vision for your life. So what we're saying is not don't go after your goals, because 100% go after your goals, go after what you want. What we are saying though is don't go after it arbitrarily. Don't take an inventory and really sit down and go through what you think you want and figure out why you want it. Because often what we're seeing is, especially when we lived in America, we felt prey to this. We moved to California and we had the house and it was walking distance to the beach, but we couldn't see the beach. We weren't on the beach. And it was like, well, but we're kind of far back and, we need the house that's closer to the beach. I want the ocean view. But it was just more of an up leveling. It was like, okay, we did this. Now we want that. There wasn't a real reason behind it. There wasn't a heartfelt reason. Like right now, like Rob mentioned, we're looking at having a second property, kind of like a weekend home. We just went on this fantastic trip to Bulgari, which is a wine region on the coast in Italy, and it's near the ocean. And so we fell in love with this area and we're thinking about a second home, but why? And so we really sat down and what would it do for us? It gives us contrast from what we have of living in the city. It gives us time near the sea. It gives us a change in scenery, a change in food. It gives Sophia another environment to kind of grow up in and to do different things that we do in the city. And so there's a lot of reason behind it. Whereas often when we lived in America, it was like, we need the bigger car, the more money, the bigger house, because that's what everyone's doing. You go up, you up level, say that 3 times fast. Up level constantly. You upgrade is probably a better word. You're constantly upgrading. And then what happens? Your kids move out and then you downgrade. And then you're like, now I'm going to live my life. And we're saying you need to live your life now. So in no way is this when is enough enough. It's about the bandwidth eroding. That's the part, because Rob, I don't want people to get confused thinking that Rob's saying, don't go after the watch and the car and the house. That's stupid. That's not what you're saying. You're saying if you have to put in an extra, 20 hours a week in work and you're now working 60 hours a week just so you can afford that shiny whatever car in your driveway, and you're not spending time with your kid and your relationship with your spouse is eroding over it, then enough is enough. And that's what we're saying.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look at it this way. Put it into 2 chunks. This is based upon research that Albert Brooks has Arthur Brooks, I always make him the actor Albert Brooks. It's Arthur Brooks, has done in his book, Strength to Strength. He's a Harvard professor who travels. He's the only Harvard professor who has a class at the Harvard Business School on happiness. Can you imagine the people who attend his class?
That's amazing.
I mean, it's a fascinating class, but I haven't taken it, but I would.
You need to.
I would assume it's fascinating. So he chunks things into two categories, and I think this is very helpful for this conversation. One is extrinsic things. What are the extrinsic things that people put time and effort into? Money, power, pleasure, and fame. Those are extrinsic things that we chase. And then you have intrinsic, and those things are faith, spirituality, family, friends, and love. Okay? Whenever they do research, the things that made people the happiness are always the intrinsic things. Everybody knows that. But yet the things that we double down on are the extrinsic things of money, power, pleasure, and fame.
Because those serve the ego.
Because those serve the ego, right? So here's the punchline. It doesn't mean ignore the extrinsic things. It means strike a balance. It means have an awareness that the intrinsic things are actually the things that are going to make you happy. I use the example of a boat. I bought a big boat. Did not make me any happier. And I'm going to argue it made me very unhappy in the end, right? They say there's two amazing days when you buy a boat, the day you buy it and the day you sell it. And that is true for a lot of things. So to Kim's point, make sure that your listening of this is enough when it erodes the bandwidth that you have for a great life. So when business, work, career starts encroaching on the bandwidth for you to have a great life, that's when you want to say basta. Now, the Italians really have figured this out over the last 2,000 years. And they revel in simple pleasures. Like if you look at an Italian who looks at a ripe tomato, it might as well be like they saw the most beautiful, like a man, the most beautiful Italian woman in the world. They admire it. They touch it. They hold it. It's like, oh my God, this is beautiful. Or smelling, if you're in Amalfi as an example, and you walk by, a lemon tree, the Italians are like, smell this. Just like they'll take your nose and shove it inside the lemon, right? Or if you look at an Italian in the sunshine, it's like, they embrace moments. They understand that life isn't about chasing more, but finding enjoyment and pleasure in what's already there. We are constantly tripping over what we already have and looking for more.
It's interesting, right? Because I'm going to screw this all up. You'll fix it though. I think there was a study done on people, or interviews done on people on their deathbed, of what made them happy and what they enjoyed most in life. And guess what did not come up? Money. No one ever was like, all that money I made really made me happy. All that time I spent at work really, sold it for me. This life was great. I want to come do it again. Like it was always about their family. And when you look at, I'm going to use a stereotypical, super successful, guy, let's use the movies or in any books or whatever. There's like this stereotypical guy that goes through life acquiring power and money. And, when I say fame, I don't mean it like he's on the cover of a magazine. I mean it more like in an industry. Clout maybe is a better word. And he goes on acquiring all of that. And then he comes to a point in his life where he looks and his relationship is for shit. Maybe the wife leaves. The kids don't even know who he is. He doesn't know how to interact with the family. And he ends up dying very miserable in many ways if he doesn't get it corrected. And I think that is really prevalent. And what we have realized is in moving here over the last couple of years, we see how, yesterday, Rob, we had this conversation yesterday with one of the other expats here. And he said, America should put on their flag a $sign because it would make more sense. And the American dream is a financial dream, and we understand where it comes from. And there's so many beautiful, amazing things about what you can build in America. And some of the most incredible companies that are purpose-driven companies are giving back in huge ways. And like we said, in no way does this mean don't go after it. It just truly means money is not going to make you happy. And there's a balance, right? So I said this to you the other day. If somebody is barely scraping by, there is an amount of stress and pain that comes to that, right? So if you're in more of a situation where you're not quite stable yet, and I mean stable, I don't mean like you have this beautiful house and you just are, what do you call it? Your house poor, right? Or because you've bought this big house and you bought this big car and you have all these payments, like that one you kind of did to yourself. But if you're truly just trying to get by and you're working it, this is not what we're talking about. We're not talking about pull back on your work and realign. We're talking about people who are just nonstop going for more and more and more, and they don't know why they're going for more. They don't know what the point is, and they've never really sat down to decide if these financial goals are, I want to open 5 more of these offices, or I want to bring in 5 more, CPAs into my firm, or whatever it is. Like more money, more problems, right? That is often a trigger and a problem, and it creates a level of dissatisfaction in life and overwhelm and stress. And I love what you do with your coaching clients, Rob, because one of the first things you do is you take an inventory of all the areas of their life and you see where the holes in the bucket are. Because if your home life is shit, then your business is not going to excel in the same way. And eventually that will catch up with you. And so I love that you do that. You're a unique business coach in that way, that you have a more holistic viewpoint.
Thank you. And one of the things I think is important is, your location really dictates a lot of it. We have perspective now coming from America and understanding that a lot of things you can chase back to a dollar sign. We were joking last night looking over at the over our terrace at the Duomo. And we're like, if we put this in the hands of capitalism, the Duomo would be turned into condos. Do you know what I mean? Like, so there's a little bit of a joke there, but I think the tried and tested wisdom of countries that are thousands of, or continents that are thousands of years old, with baked in that is a lot of wisdom. And Italy, I think, is the perfect backdrop to embrace the enough is enough approach. And that's the reason why we do these events here. Because, I was talking to our attorney who was at the party last night, and he said, you're really such an ambassador for Italy. And I said, I wish I can tell you, like, I'm being paid by the Italian tourism board,
right.
But
maybe
I'm not.
We need to work that out.
I'm not. And he said, well, why are you doing events here? And, because we're moving more into doing events here versus,
around the world.
And I said, a lot of the people who listen to our show or are going to be reading the books that we're writing, et cetera, they're looking for a change. There's a next chapter for them. They're reaching for more. They want something new. And I can't think of a better place for them to experience the idea of striking a balance in life and seeing what's important more than Italy. And people, they know it. Like, when you think about Italy, we had this conversation with Chris last night, one of the guys at the party, and he just went on this, I'll never remember what he said, but he went on this, diatribe. He's like, you want to ski? Okay, we'll start at the top. You want to go to the most beautiful beaches? We'll take you down to, Calabria and Amalfi. You want pizza? Well, we fucking invented it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So he said, all of these pleasures that you have are here. So if you're in a place in your life right now where you need a reset and you want to connect more to your soul, I can't think of a better place to do it. And we've got an event coming up here in Florence in the fall. And
we'll have one in the spring as well.
And we'll have another one in the spring. So the reason why Italy, yes, we live here, but the reason why we want you here is the reason why we live here, So
But we want you to see how this ties back to what we're talking about with Basta Cosi. Basta Cosi is like, stop, this is enough, right? And we really are seeing how the Italians put so much energy into the things that actually make you happy. And it's not money. Now, they would argue they'd like more money, right? But they're not willing to
allow it to encroach
on the things that truly, truly make them happy. And that's what our message is for all of you. It's take a true inventory of all the areas of your life. And Rob, you have this great Redefining Success workbook that's free. People can get it. Just go into the show notes or
it's in the show notes, yeah.
Or send Rob on Instagram the word success?
Yep, send me the word success on Instagram.
And he'll send it to you. And it's really helpful because if you take the time to go through that workbook and you really define what success would look like in all the important areas of your life, everybody does it for business, but you don't do it for your relationship with your child or your personal health or your hobbies. Like, how many adults do you know that legitimately have a hobby? You know, and show me the adults with hobbies and I'm going to show you happy people.
You know, you made me think of something. You made me think that in business, we have marketing departments, accounts receivable departments, you know, a C-suite. We recognize the different divisions of business, and each of those divisions carry a vision,
a goal,
roles, goals, etc. We don't do that for our life because it's, you know, with business, it's very black and white. You know, you show up and you work and you make this much money and you do this. So it's like there's a very tangible result. But when it comes to the areas of your personal life, other than, let's say, your body, you know, like these things, you know, until you have the heart attack, until you have the divorce, it's like they don't really show up in the way that they do with business.
Because they're taken for granted.
They're taken for granted, and you can let them slide, and you can limp along with a shitty personal life and a shallow relationship. You can't do that for too long with a bad business. And it's more apparent in business. So guess what? Business gets your attention because it needs it, and your personal life doesn't.
If the Grim Reaper showed up every month on the first of the month, like your mortgage payment does, then it would.
The pain isn't there.
But the pain isn't there. So head over, get Rob's Redefining Success workbook. Go through it and really spend the time, and then go in. And I would highly recommend getting our vision course, because what you're going to do in the vision course is you're going to go through what do you truly want your life to look like. So once you define success in all the areas, then you can go and decide, what do you really, really want your life to look like? What are the things that are important to you? What are the things that are not? And you can cross them off. And then you can create a plan of action to live that life and bring you closer to your dream life.
That's it, everybody. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Hey, everybody, if you've ever thought about coming to hang out with Kim and I on one of our next Rob and Kim Italia events and you want to learn more, just click the Rob and Kim Italia link in the show notes and add your name and email, and we'll send you all the details as soon as they're available. We are obsessed with this country and how it affects you, and we want to share that magic of culture, food, wine, art, architecture, and some secret magic moments that we've cooked up with you. So be sure to add your name, because these events sell out quickly.